Welcome back, friends. My name is Ross, and I help people rewrite their stories. I just wanted you to see the beautiful, beautiful morning sky. I thought I was going to get rained on, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So we're off to a great start. Today, I wanted to introduce tarot to this channel, not to the internet because tarot has existed for centuries, but to this channel. I'm getting into more of the esoteric stuff that I've been interested in because that's part of me too, and I want this to be as clear a representation of myself and my journey as possible. So I had in my previous videos, the last couple days, I've mentioned how the number 2 has been popping up. And I had 2 dreams last night where the number 2 was present. In the first one, there were 2 lions, a lion and a lioness in the distance that I saw. And I was hanging out with my brother and one of his friends. And then there was another dream where I was sitting on a bench with 2 girls. And so I very interested to see what this 2 symbolism can symbolize. I mentioned in one of the previous videos that 2 can represent opposition. And so I'm wondering what kind of opposition is there in my life that maybe I'm not seeing, maybe I'm not dealing with, maybe I'm not recognizing. And I was thinking of ways to address that, and I thought of tarot this morning, and I was wondering if there was a 2-card tarot spread, and there is. It's the beginning of the Celtic cross, if you're familiar with that. I'm not. I mean, I know it's a thing, but I don't know what each card represents. So I wanted to see if I could use the cards to give my dreams any kind of deeper meaning, to get any kind of insight from this 2 that keeps popping up. And I thought, what better way than to take you along with me as I stumble through my first 2-card, what's it called? Two-card cross reading. Yeah, see? So this is going to be fun. All right, friends. So this is the deck I use. I have the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and I love it. I love the classicness of it, and they're a great little deck. And it comes with this pamphlet that I'm always amazed that I'm finding new words that I don't know in here. And it's great, but I recommend getting this book. It was recommended to me by a friend, and it's got all kinds of great useful information in it that I am going to be consulting as I do this 2-card spread. What I like to do is shuffle them 9 times because that is my it's one of my numbers. It's not life path, I think it's expression. So what I do when I'm doing readings, and what I want to do right now, is I'm going to shuffle and think about what in my life is opposing me. And then I just like to take a few deep breaths and rethink on that question, what is opposing me? And then I draw my cards. All right. So this is a 2-card spread, like I said, and there's a bunch of different interpretations for what these cards can mean. The first card can represent a situation, and then the second card can represent a challenge. The first card can represent some kind of aim, whatever you're aiming for, and the second card can represent a blockage. The first card can represent a blockage, and then the second card can represent a solution. The first card can represent the querent, the person asking the question, and then the second card can represent the adversary, another person that's getting in their way. The first card can be the ideal setting, and what the second card can mean is what you're settling for. And then the first card could mean a situation, and the second card can be a little extra information about it. So for this, I'm thinking about what's opposing me. So the first card is going to represent the opposition, and then the second card will represent the solution to that opposition. So, let's see. I'm excited. I'm always excited to see what the cards will mean. And these are just my little crystals I have. I like to keep these nearby whenever I'm doing a reading. And interestingly enough, the sodalite, which is for insight, was on the floor this morning when I woke up. And when I was picking it back up, the rose quartz, which is for openness, fell on the floor right next to it. So I'm keeping those at the forefront, separated by my selenite and my Apache tear obsidian. So let's see. This was the first card, which is the opposition. And it's a 2. All right, so consulting the book, like I said, this book is great. 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. I haven't had a chance to really get into it, but I'm always flipping through it when I'm doing readings for friends or for myself. And it had some more insight. It says, if we look at the card as signifying the self, which I think is useful right now, then reversed indicates a split between what we do and what we feel, between action and emotion. So I mentioned that in one of the previous videos, that I was considering the balance between the logical side of my brain and the emotional, artistic, creative side of my brain. So it's good to have that reaffirmed here and to get a kind of confirmation that that is the opposition that I'm feeling. So let's see what the solution is. Oh gosh. That's the 10 of Swords. This card has come up for me too before. This guy has had a bad day. The 10 of Swords fills us with pain, but despite the extreme picture, the card does not represent death or even especially violence, which is very helpful, because when I first got this, I was thinking of 10 tiny little cuts that would have to be made to excise this opposition within me. But the book here has a better representation. It signifies more of a reaction to problems than the problems themselves. It takes only one sword to kill someone. The 10 swords in the man's body, even including one in his ear, suggest hysteria and the adolescent attitude that no one has ever suffered so much as me, my life is over, and so on. The situation is not so bad as it looks. All right, my friends, that was my 2-card spread. The reversed 2 of Cups and the 10 of Swords. At first, I was thinking about it, and I sat and I journaled for a bit and was really meditating on the meanings. And at first, I was a little incensed that the solution, the advice, is that I should just deal with it, that I should just act mature and figure it out. But thinking about it, thinking on it, meditating, I realized that worrying about finding a balance, worrying about anything, is a negative, pointless endeavor. Worry pretends to be necessary, it pretends to be helpful, but it's negative. It keeps you out of the present and fixated on numerous alternatives that could or could not happen. It keeps you overthinking, and there is nothing to overthink because everything already is. So that is the message that I take away from this. As far as opposition goes with thinking about any kind of polarities, the line I walk between logic and emotion, between the feminine and the masculine within us all, between consciousness and unconsciousness, whatever polarities you want to think about, there is nothing to overthink. you only ever arrive at the moment you're in. There is no future that you can think about, and there is no past that you can dwell on. I was stuck in this story of, well, that's not fair. That's not a fair reading, but that kept me in victim mode because it was attaching myself to these identities that aren't me. And I've mentioned before, I've mentioned on the blog, anytime you can look at an identity and say, this is me, that's a clear sign that you know that the ego has taken control, because the ego loves definitions. So, logic, emotion, feminine, masculine, in a sense, these are all identities and labels as well. And I need to trust that when I arrive at the moment, I will know in here what to do. So that's what I'm taking from this reading. I would love to know what your interpretations are. I want to hear if you try this, if you've tried this, if there's any other kind of 2-card spreads. I will be interested to see if the 2s keep popping up, because if it's not about opposition, it's about relationships, and that's a whole other jug of worms. I hope you found value in this. I hope you enjoyed my stumbling, shuffling, and I wish you a day filled with peace, happiness, and loving kindness. And until next time, my friends, remember, be kind, be well, and be yourself. We'll talk soon.